Jessica Hayward was the last person anyone expected to make headlines, a devoted single mom with 2 young kids. But when Ethan and Lily started showing shocking signs of drug exposure, a dark secret unraveled. Jessica had been giving her own children marijuana edibles and vape pens inside their home. From the outside, her life appeared flawless. She was a single mother to 2 young children, Ethan, who was 8 years old, and Lily, who was 6. Jessica's days were filled with routine, getting the kids ready for school, preparing meals, and attending PTA meetings. Neighbors admired her dedication and often commented on how attentive and loving she seemed. Ethan, once energetic and curious, started to lose focus in class. They noticed a faint, sweet smell that sometimes lingered near the Hayward house. Occasionally, children's clothing smelled different, and their behavior seemed off when they came back from school or playdates. Friends who visited Jessica remarked that she seemed tired, stressed, and guarded about her children's well-being. There were also small vape pens, devices used for inhaling vaporized substances. The discovery shocked the school's staff. They immediately contacted Child Protective Services, and the children were brought in for medical evaluation. The tests confirmed what the school feared. Traces of marijuana were present in the children's system. Despite their concerns, no one had enough reason to intervene or question what was really happening behind the closed doors. Jessica had been giving her children marijuana edibles and vape pens inside their own home. Neighbors who had praised Jessica's dedication now questioned what they really knew about her. The quiet suburb that once seemed so safe now felt like a place where terrible secrets had been hidden. The school and social services worked together to protect Ethan and Lily, making sure they received proper medical care and counseling. Specialists explained that while the children had suffered, early intervention could help them recover if given the right support. Her explanation was rooted in her own struggles. She claimed she used cannabis to manage her anxiety and thought it might help calm her children too. But experts made it clear that what Jessica was doing was dangerous and illegal. Young children exposed to marijuana could suffer serious health effects, including impaired brain development, difficulty concentrating, and even lasting psychological damage. Teachers noticed he seemed tired and distracted, struggling to keep up with his schoolwork. Lily, usually bright and playful, began acting unusually quiet and distant. Her laughter grew less frequent, replaced by moments of confusion and lethargy. These changes did not go unnoticed by school staff, but no one could immediately identify the cause. Jessica always wore a warm smile and carried herself with confidence, giving the impression that she had everything under control. What started as a mother's struggle with anxiety turned into a terrifying criminal investigation that no one saw coming. It was a shocking and heartbreaking realization that the woman who seemed to have it all together was exposing her own children to danger. Ethan, who had once been a star student eager to learn, began to lose interest in his classes. His grades slipped, and he frequently appeared tired and unfocused. Lily, usually a bright and cheerful child, became quiet and withdrawn. These changes worried the teachers, who had never seen the siblings act this way before. The school nurse grew increasingly concerned when she noticed that both children showed signs of physical symptoms: red eyes, slight dizziness, and sluggishness that didn't match typical childhood illnesses. What no one could have guessed was how deep the problem went and how far it would reach. The peaceful neighborhood was about to confront a truth that would shake their sense of safety and trust to its core. Tree-lined neighborhood where families knew each other by name and children played safely in yards and parks. Jessica believed that giving Ethan and Lily small amounts of marijuana edibles and allowing them to use vape pens would help keep them calm and happy, just as it did for her. She thought she was protecting them from anxiety and making their lives easier, unaware of the lasting harm she was causing. This decision was made quietly, without anyone else knowing. The children's school, friends, and family remained in the dark about the secret world unfolding inside the Hayward home. For years, no one suspected that beneath this picture-perfect life, a hidden struggle was quietly unfolding. Jessica had battled anxiety and stress for as long as anyone could remember. As a single mom raising 2 children on her own, she often felt overwhelmed by the constant pressure and isolation. Without a strong support system, she turned to various coping methods, some of which she kept secret. She had recently begun using marijuana to help ease her nerves and calm her racing thoughts. At first, it was just occasional, but as the stress piled up, the frequency increased. What started as an attempt to self-medicate soon took a dangerous turn. Slowly, subtle signs began to emerge that something was wrong. At home, neighbors started to pick up on odd details too. As the weeks went by, the signs grew stronger, and the secret that Jessica had been hiding began to unravel. At school, Ethan and Lily's unusual behavior soon caught the attention of teachers and staff. One day, during a routine backpack check, teacher found small packages wrapped in colorful foil and some tiny plastic containers hidden inside Ethan's bag. The investigation quickly turned toward Jessica. When questioned, she initially denied any wrongdoing. However, as evidence mounted, the truth came out. The community was stunned. How could a mother do this to her own kids? Neighbors who had praised Jessica's dedication now questioned what they really knew about her. The quiet suburb that once seemed so safe now felt like a place where terrible secrets had been hidden. The school and social services worked together to protect Ethan and Lily, making sure they received proper medical care and counseling. Specialists explained that while the children had suffered, early intervention could help them recover if given the right support. Jessica's past also came under scrutiny. Friends and family revealed that she had long struggled with mental health issues, including anxiety and depression. They described how she had once been open about her challenges, but gradually withdrew from those around her. They discovered crushed wrappers of marijuana edibles scattered in hidden corners, along with empty vape cartridges and devices that had residue consistent with cannabis oil. The children's rooms, places meant for safety and comfort, instead held traces of the substances that had affected their health and development. Experts testified that early exposure to marijuana could cause permanent damage to young children's brains, affecting memory, learning abilities, and emotional stability. She faced the harsh reality of the legal system and the possibility of losing custody of Ethan and Lily. Prosecutors prepared to argue that her actions were reckless and harmful, while her defense team sought to present her mental health as a mitigating factor. The courts had to balance punishment with the possibility of rehabilitation. The children's safety remained the priority, leading to their removal from Jessica's custody and placement into foster care where they could receive specialized support. Despite occasional visits to therapists, she had never fully committed to a recovery plan or sought specialized care for her anxiety and depression. Their goal was to help the children heal from their traumatic experiences and find stability in new, nurturing environments. During routine background checks and family history inquiries, authorities found that Ethan, the 8-year-old boy, was not Jessica's biological son. This fact had been kept secret from most people, including neighbors, friends, and even some family members. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community and raised questions about how this detail might affect the unfolding legal battle and the children's future. The case served as a stark reminder of how hidden struggles, if left unaddressed, could escalate into dangerous situations with lasting consequences for the most vulnerable. It was clear that this story was far from over, as the road to recovery for everyone involved would be long and challenging. Her isolation deepened as she faced the daily challenges of parenting without reliable support. Many had once seen Jessica as a model parent, but now they were faced with the reality of a woman overwhelmed by her problems and making choices that endangered her own children. Public opinion was mixed. Some sympathized with Jessica's mental health battles, while others felt anger and betrayal. The case highlighted the complex intersection of substance abuse, mental illness, and parenting, illustrating how fragile families could become when help was absent. Friends recalled how Jessica would sometimes seem overwhelmed and distant, but no one suspected the extent of her difficulties. Her decision to involve the children in her marijuana use revealed a tragic lapse in judgment fueled by desperation. The case sparked important conversations about parental responsibility, mental health, and substance abuse. Neighbors reported hearing occasional loud arguments late at night, though no one ever saw any physical violence. The tension inside the house was palpable, creating an unstable environment for Ethan and Lily. School counselors spoke of the children's emotional struggles, noting their fear and confusion. The trauma of their exposure to drugs and the subsequent upheaval had taken a heavy toll. Specialists emphasized the importance of therapy and consistent care to help the siblings recover and rebuild trust. Many hoped that Jessica's story would raise awareness so other families might get help before situations became dangerous. The pressure of raising 2 young kids alone had pushed her toward marijuana as a way to cope. However, her judgment became clouded. What started as self-medication spiraled into a harmful pattern involving her children. Authorities uncovered a history of substance abuse that Jessica had struggled with for years. Before the incident with her children, she had used marijuana regularly to manage her anxiety and stress. However, this use was kept hidden from almost everyone in her life, including close friends and some family members. It seemed that Jessica had been battling her own demons silently, without reaching out for the help she desperately needed. This added a tragic layer to the story, a reminder that untreated mental health problems could have far-reaching consequences. Legal action was soon underway. Authorities charged Jessica with child endangerment and neglect. As the investigation deepened, more shocking details surfaced about what had been happening behind closed doors, making it clear that this was only the beginning of a complicated and painful journey for everyone involved. The deeper the investigation went, the more troubling details emerged about Jessica's life and the environment in which Ethan and Lily had been living. Inside the Hayward home, investigators found evidence of repeated marijuana use, not just by Jessica, but involving her children as well. Social workers learned that Jessica's mental health struggles had gone untreated for a long time. The investigation also revealed troubling behavior around the home. The community's shock grew as more facts came to light. The legal process began to unfold, with Jessica facing serious charges, including child endangerment and neglect. Throughout this difficult time, social services and child psychologists worked to assess the full impact of Jessica's actions on Ethan and Lily as the investigation into Jessica Hayward's actions continued. A startling new discovery added a complicated twist to the case that no one had anticipated. As the investigation into Jessica Hayward's actions continued, startling new discovery added a complicated twist to the case that no one had anticipated. During routine background checks and family history inquiries, authorities found that Ethan, the 8-year-old boy, was not Jessica's biological son. This fact had been kept secret from most people, including neighbors, friends, and even some family members. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community and raised questions about how this detail might affect the unfolding legal battle in the children's future. Ethan had been adopted by Jessica several years earlier. The adoption had been a private matter. They recognized that both children had been living in an unstable and harmful environment for an extended period. An adoption, sparking public debate about how to protect children in difficult family situations. Foster families were carefully selected to help Ethan and Lily heal from the layers of trauma they had endured. The process was slow and filled with challenges, but it offered a glimmer of hope for a brighter future. Jessica's case became a symbol of the hidden struggles many families face, struggles that, if ignored, can lead to devastating consequences. She was sentenced to mandatory rehabilitation for substance abuse and ordered to participate in intensive parenting classes. The court hoped that, with treatment, Jessica could regain control of her life and develop the skills needed to become a safe and responsible parent. With the support of foster families and therapists, they slowly began to rebuild trust and find stability. Her case reminded the community that judgment alone was not enough. Support systems, affordable mental health care, and accessible addiction treatment are essential to preventing similar tragedies. Ethan and Lily's futures, once uncertain and clouded by danger, now held the promise of recovery and happiness. Their story served as a solemn reminder of the importance of protecting children from hidden harm and the power of compassion in the face of difficult struggles. The community remained committed to supporting families like theirs, working to ensure that no child would suffer in silence again. The hope was that by sharing Jessica's story, more families might recognize the warning signs and seek help before it was too late. The children attended counseling sessions designed to help them process their feelings and cope with the confusion and fear they had endured. Over time, they learned to express themselves in healthier ways and showed signs of improvement in school and social interactions. Their new environments provided safety and love, giving them a chance to heal from the trauma that had shadowed their early years. Although many in the community struggled with anger and disappointment, some believed in the possibility of her redemption, recognizing that addiction and mental health issues often require long-term support and understanding. Ethan, already vulnerable due to his biological mother's history, was now dealing with additional trauma caused by exposure to substances and neglect. Schools, child welfare organizations, and local governments began promoting awareness. Campaigns to educate parents about the risks of giving children drugs or exposing them to harmful environments. Mental health services were emphasized as a critical part of family support, encouraging parents to seek help before situations spiraled out of control. The tragedy of Ethan and Lily's experience became a powerful example of why early intervention and vigilance are so important in protecting vulnerable children. Lily, too, had suffered emotional and physical risks. The experts stressed that both children needed long-term support, including therapy tailored to their individual histories and experiences. And Jessica had worked hard to build a loving home for him alongside her biological daughter, Lily. However, the new information suggested a deeper story. Ethan's biological mother had a documented history of drug addiction and neglect, and it appeared that Jessica had taken Ethan in to provide a better life for him. But about the tangled web of family addiction and the search for healing in the face of hardship. The road ahead was uncertain, but those working to protect Ethan and Lily remained committed to helping them find safety, love, and stability beyond the shadows of their past. What no one expected was how the echoes of that troubled past seemed to still linger around the boy, complicating the situation in ways the investigators hadn't foreseen. The transition was difficult for both children. Leaving behind the only home they had known, despite its troubles, was confusing and painful. However, the new families were compassionate and dedicated to helping them heal. Therapists worked closely with Ethan and Lily, using gentle, child-centered approaches to address the trauma caused by exposure to marijuana and the emotional neglect they had suffered. Medical professionals monitored their physical health, ensuring any lasting effects from the substances were managed with care. The case now took on an additional layer of emotional complexity. Legal experts explained that adoption did not shield Jessica from responsibility for Ethan's welfare, but the boy's biological background might influence decisions about custody and care. He revealed that Jessica's marijuana use had been far more frequent and extensive than previously understood. According to him, the children had been exposed to cannabis, not just occasionally, but regularly. He provided text messages and photos that showed Jessica purchasing large quantities of edibles and vape products, raising the stakes even higher for the legal case. His arrival complicated custody discussions and brought renewed attention to the children's safety and well-being. Authorities wondered whether Jessica's own struggles with substance use might have been influenced by unresolved feelings about Ethan's adoption and the trauma connected to his biological family. Some specialists suggested that Jessica's anxiety and poor decisions might have roots in guilt, grief, or a desperate desire to keep her family together despite overwhelming challenges. Meanwhile, Lily's father, who had been mostly absent from their lives, unexpectedly stepped forward with new information. Social workers and child psychologists took these new revelations seriously. The community watched closely as the legal battle intensified. Media coverage highlighted the complexities of addiction, mental health, while the courtroom fought over custody and sentencing. Social services focused on providing the children with stable, nurturing environments. As this chapter of the story unfolded, it became clear that the case was not just about a mother's poor choices after the courtroom's decision. Ethan and Lily were removed from Jessica's care and placed in foster homes specially chosen for their needs. Jessica faced the consequences of her actions in the legal system. The case sparked widespread conversation about the hidden dangers of substance abuse within families. For Ethan and Lily, the journey to recovery was ongoing. Jessica's story also highlighted the broader challenges facing single parents struggling with mental health and substance abuse. Though the case ended with heartbreaking consequences, it offered a glimmer of hope. Ethan and Lily's futures, once uncertain and clouded by danger, now held the promise of recovery and happiness. Their stories served as a solemn reminder of the importance of protecting children from hidden harm and the power of compassion in the face of difficult struggles. The community remained committed to supporting families like theirs, working to ensure that no child would suffer in silence again.